This boy's name was Court Johnson. His parents were very proud. They had an average-sized baby with average-sized cries, and they couldn't be happier. But they only stayed happy for about 10 seconds, because then the baby started to shrink and shrink and shrink until it was the size of a thimble. His parents were very worried, and before you could say pizza, they were at the local doctor. The doctor couldn't describe any reason that Court was so small. So the parents took the baby to other doctors all over the state. None of them still couldn't understand why he was so small. So his parents, after a long, hard day of doctors, and Court was after a long, hard day of getting those weird things that they hit on your knee, he finally went home and took a nap. And the next day, it was time for school. Now, you might be thinking, the next day, he's only 2 days. Well, Court thought it was a day, but actually it had been a couple years. So, he woke up, he went downstairs for breakfast, and then he headed off to school. He was a bit scared of school, seeing as everyone would probably pick on him and most likely step on him. But he had courage, and so he went to school. And after a few years of school and almost getting killed, his parents decided he needed a horse, but they knew the horse wouldn't be able to see him, and so therefore it wouldn't let him ride. So they decided to get him a rat. Once they gave Court his rat, Court named his rat Draven. Draven and Court were very good friends. They would sneak in, they would easily get into sewers and had fun sneaking up on people. They also, just for fun, liked getting snacks out of people's pantries. But one day, when they were sneaking into someone's house, they heard a breathing behind them. They looked behind them, and they saw this great, big St. Bernard staring down at them. And you should have seen it. Court beat the land's speed record. He ran to the toilet, jumped in, down to the sewers, and out of sight. Once he got home, he thought, maybe I shouldn't be sneaking around so much. Then, one day, a messenger came to the town with horrible news. The South Carolinians had declared war on them. Now, it wasn't unusual for them to be at war. They were usually fighting over money and other things. But this wasn't just a war. They were going to try and take over North Carolina. So, what every other 13-year-old boy would do is join. But Court was only 12. But one night, he wanted to fight. So he snuck out of his house and he joined the army. Now, no one could reject because they didn't know his age because he was so small, he didn't really grow. So they couldn't tell by his height. But once he got in, not many people really liked him, so they made him a spy, because the spy didn't usually do much. Now, he still had to do something, and this time, it actually turned out to be a big deal. The South Carolinians had created a bomb that would wipe out their entire town with one blast. So it was Court's job to sneak in and defuse it. So that's just what he did. He got on his rat Draven, grabbed some food, and he strode off. Now, he wasn't going to go through the front door. He had a plan. He was going to sneak in through the sewers that had an entrance in front of their base. So he snuck down, went through, popped up through a random toilet, and bingo! He was in the lab where the bomb was. The bomb was in the middle of a room under a dim light, and he snuck in through the control panel to see what he could do. There was a little red wire, and thinking of all the cool movies he thought, I must cut the red wire. And so he told his rat Draven, cut the wire. And he said it again, cut the wire. But for some reason, Draven would not cut the wire. So Court looked through his bag, through his tiny bag, and he found a pair of tiny pliers, about this big. And he used them, seeing it, but they were still about as big as he was, but he tried to use them. And while he was cutting, he thought he heard footsteps. And then it all got dark because the control panel had closed. He was still cutting now, knowing his mission. And so, but then he felt himself moving. And then he realized he was being loaded into the plane and was about to be taken to be dropped. So, and then about 10 minutes later, after flying, he had finished cutting through the wire and was now thinking of a plan. He thought that once he saw green, which would probably be a tree, since he didn't have a parachute, he could jump out and would land safely because it wouldn't be from that high. So, that's exactly what he did. The second he felt himself falling and falling, he sat there and he waited. And he waited. And he waited until finally, out of a little crack in the control panel, he thought he saw a little shrubbery. So he popped out and he jumped out with his rat Draven, and they made it safely. The whole town was saved. They rushed over to congratulate him and to say, "Good job." Now, then there was the parents. They had no clue he had snuck out. They had been so worried. But who could stay real mad at a war hero? After that night, the whole town had a grand party for him, and then he went to sleep, because I would be tired too. And the moral of the story is, you don't have to be big to be a big deal.